Welcome back to Daddy's Podcast. Again, it was Daddy because my son, Gregory Jackson III, used to say, Daddy, Daddy. Us daddies, we are in our kids' lives. We are here. When my son was murdered, I went through a lot of insecurities as a father. Wondering if I did a good enough job, was I a good enough protector, provider, all of those things, you know. And I just wake up and I continuously question myself, dealt with sadness, and I ain't gonna get into all that, but it was just hard. But right now I have two people that was next to me while Greg was up and breathing and alive. We got in the pool, we barbecued, we formed a bond, and it was so great with these two ladies that's right here next to me. So I want to thank both of you all for coming and spending time and sharing about my beautiful son, your son,
that's right,
your brother, Gregory Jackson III. First of all, I want to congratulate Candice. You ready? Chinara. Talk to her, Candice, Chinara. What just happened with our daughter?
She just graduated from ISU.
That's what she did. Congratulations. Yeah. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yep, it took a village. I guess it's you right next to me, Chinara. I'm going to start with you before I go to Candy Cane over there. Chinara, what I would like to do with, even though this is Gregory Jackson III's platform, what I kind of wanted to highlight is, not kind of, but what I wanted to highlight is to the world, black fathers, because a lot of times we get lost in the height of everything, and it's like black fathers are not there. Is it a father in your life that you would like to highlight, you know, say his name, and something that man really instilled in you, that he meant to you, that helped you grow into the young, beautiful woman that you are?
Yeah, my dad name is Steve. One thing I like about him, he treat me like I'm his little princess. Like, he called me every morning, good morning, my beautiful princess. Like, stuff like that, kind words, positive words every morning. Like, I appreciate it, but I don't really show it. So that's one thing that I can't say my dad always do. He make me feel like his little princess. And that's important for daughters, because a lot of, like, my friends growing up, they don't have, like, father figures in their life. And that's one thing that I can't say. Like, my dad, he take the time, make sure he call me every day. It might be too much, but, you know, it's still a good thing.
Better too much than not enough.
Right.
And then I'm lucky to have a bonus father. Greg, you really, like, you kind to me. You know, growing up, you was a father figure as well. Even now, you treat me as like your own daughter, like the daughter you never had. That's all you always say. So, yeah, that's good having two fathers, you know.
Yes, sir. We out here. Steve Moten, shout out to you, brother. Appreciate the work and the energy you put into raising a great daughter, college graduate, about to do a thing in this world, make her mark. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you. Definitely. Candy Cane, I want to move on to you. How you doing? What's happening?
Good, G-Red.
Yeah, you know, we got a lot to talk about, right? It's a lot. But Candy Cane, let's start out shouting out black fathers out here. Do you have a father figure in your life that you know want to shout out and just kind of express the things that he did that you hope goes on in a lot of black fathers' lives?
Well, my dad was in my life up until
what's his name? Let's shout out his name, because I mean his name is loud. Can I cut you off? I'm sorry.
Me, I'll say it.
Yeah, I want you to. That's my man's.
Yeah, Dwayne, DC.
Yes, he
they
is.
call him DC.
Yes, sir.
So my father, he was a great dad to me and my brother, and not just us, but our friends. Everybody in our neighborhood loved my dad. They would go to my dad's house. They would call him if they had problems. He was always there for everybody, not just his own kids, but the neighborhood. You know, he was that guy. He was a counselor at a drug rehabilitation center. He used to bring the kids home, and he was a father to them, you know, and we enjoyed seeing him do that to not just us, but we didn't get jealous. We loved it. I loved that my friends looked at my father as a father figure, you know. Take us joyriding, sneaking, teaching us how to drive stick shift. Everybody in the neighborhood, the stick shift. We probably burnt out a couple of countries, but he didn't care. He was like, you're going to learn how to drive a stick. So he wasn't, I love that my father just wasn't my father. He was a father to so many people, so many of my friends. So
many people. Can I piggyback on that?
Go ahead.
Why don't you tell me about the story of the TV in the backyard in the window? Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you remember?
So,
let's talk about that.
My dad, he was like he would be here helping you all do this right here. He would hook it up. He was like a techie guy. So we had family from out of town, and they ordered the fight, and we had kids over, the neighborhood, everybody was over. And the kids messed up the TV in the basement, and he couldn't fix it. So he was like going crazy. He was like, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna make this happen. So he told everybody, go outside, go in the backyard. Everybody go in the backyard. We're like, why? So mind you, this was like Chinara was a baby.
Okay.
I think 20-something years ago. And before all this technology stuff. So we like, what is he gonna do? So he went in the back. We all went in the backyard, and we standing there. And this man took a 21-inch TV. I think it was like enough to fit in the window like that perfectly. Turned it around and put it outside so everybody can watch this. It was a fight, I think. So everybody in the neighborhood they were pulling up in the backyard.
104th and Green.
104th and Green. We had a backyard full of my daddy's kids watching this movie, and everybody was like, man, your dad is the coldest dad ever. That's the coldest man. He made it happen for the neighborhood. So we all watched this fight in the backyard with a 21-inch TV.
Yes,
so he always made it work for everybody.
I love that story.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that, you know, my father passed away in 2003. And we were making arrangements. And, like, Greg and I knew each other since we were, like, 14, 15.
Yep.
So we were sitting around the kitchen table, all sad. We were planning the funeral. And they were like, who's going to do this and who's going to do that? And then my best friend Michelle's name came up. And I said, well, I'll call Michelle and to read the obituary. We were trying to find somebody to read the obituary. So I called and she said, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to, oh, no, I loved your dad. So I think my mom, she brought you up.
Oh,
I think my mom did. She was like, well, what about Greg?
Wow.
He'll read it. Yeah. And I said, yeah, he will read it. And I called him. And he was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'll read it. That was my man.
Sure did.
And we didn't talk anymore like a week in that day.
Yep.
I said, you know, you're reading obituary. You didn't tell me. You forgot to remind me.
I was nervous.
I was like, I'm so sorry. But he got up there and he read it for my father. And my father loved Greg like a son, really.
Yep.
Loved him.
You caught me on surprise.
I did. I'm sorry. I was still like, oh, God, he's going to get me.
And going back to Steve, I remember sitting in a funeral and I got the obituary. I'm like, Steve, how you pronounce this name?
Right.
Steve, how you pronounce? Like, and Steve hooking me up, telling me whatever. And I got up there. Yeah.
Right. So
Yes,
you did a good job.
Thank you. Dwayne Connolly, big props.
Yeah.
You raised beautiful women.
Thank you.
Yeah, big props, my man.
Beautiful community.
Beautiful community. As Candy said, you was more than a father just to her. You was a father to the community. I'll never forget you. Never forget you. You always made me feel comfortable in your house. And thank you for accepting me as being Candice's friend. We appreciate it. And Candice and I took it a step further after that.
Yep.
That's my girl. Yeah. Definitely. Candice, I got another question to ask you, but I'm going to go and jump back into Chinara. As I told the world on my intro, it was a person that called me to let me know to get to the hospital because my son had got shot. She was crying. she was hysterical. But she had enough to call me to let me know what was going on. And I ran up that building, ran out of my job. All right, I wanted to talk to you about that day. Could you tell us about that day and how you felt when you got that call? How did you find out? How did the rest of your day go? Chinara's so nervous, her fists are balled up. You know, just relax. She in it. She hurt. She loved. Out there in Olympia Fields, we had a bond out there. We definitely did our thing. Chinara, I want you to try to muster up the courage and talk to us about that day of January 28th, 2021, when Greg was taken from us.
Okay.
Take your time.
It was me and my mom. I think she was going to get a COVID test. She asked me to ride with her. And it's crazy because when we got downtown, or like by the Wintrust, whatever the arena is over there, it's like something, I just remember something, like her foot was itching. And it's weird because we was circling around. We was in the alley of the barbershop. And I don't know, I got like this little, I don't know, when something on my mind, like Greg was on my mind. We driving through the alley and I saw like a Maserati truck. And I'm just in my head, like, I instantly thought about Greg, but I didn't say nothing. I remember turning the corner, I'm like, I miss Greg, I need to call Lil Greg. And it's crazy because we couldn't find where we was going. Her foot was itching. My mom, she pulled over. And I'm like, I'm getting irritated. I'm like, why is she pulling over? Like, I'm ready to go home. And like, if you know me, like, I get irritated fast. I don't know, that's kind of a bad thing, but it's like something was telling us to stay in that area. And we got on the expressway on 22nd Street. And we got in the express lanes. So her friend called her phone. And I heard she just yelling. And I'm like, what happened? And I just knew, something told me like something bad happened. And she was like, Lil Greg just got shot. And I'm shaking. Like, I called Greg. She like, call Greg, I'm gonna call Nicole. I called Greg. I'm shaking, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk. I gave the phone to my mama, she tell him. My mama, we on the express lanes, that's all I remember. We in the express lanes, so we can't get off the expressway. She's speeding, we pull up to the barbershop. Nunu there, Nunu get in the car. My mama driving on 2 wheels. We speeding to the hospital, and I'm just thinking, like, please, like, my brother. That's all I kept saying, shaking the whole way. And it's crazy because we wouldn't leave the areas. Like, God was telling us to stay in that area for a reason. Because we literally pulled over. It was like for 3 minutes we pulled over. We did not leave the area.
She was mad at me.
I was mad. I was mad, but it's like...
That's why y'all stopped? Because your foot was itching? I never knew that story.
It was itching. We make a joke about it now. Like, if I say my foot is itching, she was like, oh, because
it be something bad.
It's something bad.
Okay.
It like, you know when, like, God telling you, like, it's signs, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I just know I couldn't be around nobody. Y'all was all in the cold house. I wasn't in the cold house. It was 3 days straight. I was not in the cold house. I don't know, like, it was just, that was the first person I lost that was super close to me. I haven't lost nobody. He was the first person, and that, like, really took a toll on me still to this day. Like, I remember it vividly. My mom, Nunu, it was us driving to the hospital. You walked up, I remember everything that happened.
Wow. Yeah. I remember I got up there, and Candice, you and I was in the room when the doctor told us. Do you remember that? I remember you holding my hand. And the doctor started the speech. We tried everything we can do or whatever, something like that. I didn't want to hear no more because I knew the beginning of the speech. I knew how it ended.
You kept saying, what does that mean? Remember that?
No, I don't.
What does that mean? And your leg was shaking like hers.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it tore me apart. It tore me apart. Still to this day. Yeah, and that day is now again 2 years later, and that pain is worse than it was back then. And I thought it'd get better 2 years later, and it's worse. And you know, that's why I'm doing this, because I know it'll be very hard for me to get through this day. So again, thank you for being here. So Candice, I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Cheeky Mama. What was it like for you? I know you and Cheeky Mama was together, but how do you see it from your point of view? I know Chinara said your friend called. Who was that person that called you, and what happened?
So it looked like she said we were going down there to get a COVID test. And I never come to the city on my days off. And it was weird because I was sick. And I said, come ride with me to get a COVID test. And I'm looking for places. I went over east by Marlene's house.
Okay.
There was a facility over there. We pull up, it was empty. And I'm like, man, that's weird. So I'm like, man, where can we go? I said, oh, they have a place over by Gately Stadium. I said, let's go over there on 103rd. I'm like, okay, still not in the inner city. We got on the expressway, we just talking and laughing. I drove right past 103rd. I said, oh my God, I drove past 103rd. So I said, somebody told me about a place on 13th in Michigan or State. And I said, let's go down there. And so we drove down there. We couldn't find it. As she said, we driving through the alley and everything. But like she said, God works in a way that we don't understand. And I drove all the way from Glenwood to downtown Chicago for a COVID test. You know how many places I passed up?
Too. Yep.
But my mind, it just wouldn't let me think to go anywhere else in the city. I drove all the way to the same spot where our son was, right there.
Wow.
And like she said, my foot was itching and I'm scratching. And I got to the light and I literally took my boot off. I said, man, I can't take it. I got to take my boot off. I pulled off, took my boot off, and I left it off with driving. And I'm driving like this. You know, I'm in that stick shift. So I'm trying to do this and scratch my foot. And got over and my friend called me. She said, Candice. She was like, Lil Greg got shot. I'm like, oh.
Who called you again? Who was it?
Marcy.
Marcy. Okay.
Marcy. Her son's name is Javon.
Okay.
Javon, he hangs with Jelani and them.
Okay. All right.
So I said, no, he didn't get shot. She was like, no, you need to check it out. He did, he got shot. And I can't remember if she found out while we were on the phone that it was bad. So I said, well, let me call his mom and dad. I said, Chinara.
Because Chinara called me, like,
You
not to
called
cut you
Greg.
off, she called me like it was bad. Like Chinara was crying. She was hysterical.
Were, but yeah, it was.
You know, so I didn't know how bad. I just knew he got shot, but the way that she was crying, I was like, shit, this shit might be serious, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that being shot is less serious, but I was like, the way she was crying, I was like, oh shit, you know?
But initially, that's what I was thinking. He got shot. Okay, maybe in the leg. He's fine.
You're right. That's
but
what I was
then
hoping.
I think she got another call or something. She said, no, he got shot. Mm-hmm. And that's when I'm like, I'm driving, I'm shaking. And I'm speeding. I'm going crazy. And I went around, I came back, and we pulled up. I pull up, and Nunu is crossing the street. And she's like, Candice. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I went to the officer, and I said, where is Gregory Jackson? And they said they took him to the county. And we jumped in my car, and Nunu was like, I said, I could barely drive. Neither one of them could drive my car. So I'm driving, and I couldn't even think of how to get from 22nd or 19th State to the county. I couldn't think. She had to go on her phone and guide me through. My mind just went blank. And we had called Nicole and Greg already, and we got there. And the tall guy that we were talking to, I forgot. I don't remember his name, but
Well, like a doctor or
no, he was just like
person?
he wasn't a doctor. He was I don't know what his title was.
Did he work at the hospital?
He worked at the hospital.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we were talking about the same. This was a social worker. So when I came there, they sent a social worker down to tell me. And the first thing he told me was like, your son got shot in the face. That's what he told me. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe my son lost the eye or something, but okay, cool, we deal with this shit. You know what I'm saying? He just lose one of his eyes or some shit like that. That's what I was thinking. So I do know the tall guy you're talking about. He's not a doctor, but he did work there. He was a social worker. I remember that guy.
He was really nice.
Yeah, he was a nice dude, yeah.
He asked me who I was. I said, I'm Lil Greg's stepmother. And he said, man, it was like he wanted to talk to me, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
He said, I will let talk to you, but I have to wait for the mom or dad. I said, I understand. So in the meantime, Nunu's there, she's crying. Chinara's off to herself crying, and I'm trying to get information. I don't know what to do, comfort her. So then you came, and people started coming. And when you came, that's when everybody started coming in slowly. And I told you, and then they took you in, and I'm outside trying to comfort them. And it was funny because I told you and Nicole first, and then when Nani came, like Nunu was saying earlier, I think we were trying to get the story together because we were all over the place. Nunu said, I have to go to the washroom, and when she was gone, that's when they told us. So when we walked out, Nunu and Nani walked up, and I looked at Nani and gave her a hug, and I think she almost fainted or something. And Nunu looked at me, and I was just like, it was a look. We had to pick her up, and it was just, everybody it was just that moment,
Yeah.
It was tough. So, and then my girlfriend, Ro, remember?
Shout out, Ro.
Yeah. Oh, she helped out a
she
whole lot.
She was real nice.
And, she worked at the hospital, so she couldn't really, let us know what was going on, behind closed doors. They had to talk to the parents first, but it was a rough day.
Speaking of Nani, I remember Nani and I got on the phone when I was at the hospital, and Nani asked me, so what's going on with Greg or something? And I was like, I don't know, Nani. And Nani's like, what you mean you don't know? I was like, oh, shit. I was scared of that. I don't know, Nani. Nani was, she was so passionate. She was so into it. I don't even know if she remembered that. But
yeah.
She asked me on the phone, like, how's it going or something? What you doing? I was like, I don't know. What you mean you don't know? I was like, oh, I ain't used to her voice going like that hard, Yeah, so.
I think when we found out the news, I think everybody thought he was going to be okay.
I definitely thought he was going to be okay.
Oh, he got shot, he'll be okay. I didn't think anything like that.
Yeah. I definitely didn't think that. That rocked my world, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was hard. Okay, I got one more question for you all if it don't lead into nothing else. Chinara or Candice, either one of you all. What is something that, because the media portrayed Lil Greg as a certain way, as I felt. A lot of headlines that I read is, it wasn't Gregory Jackson III, it was G Herbo's friend, G Herbo's best friend. And so I like to always say, G Herbo, Herbie, that's my son, that hurt him as much as it hurt everybody. So it's definitely in respect when I say that. But, he was more than just G Herbo's friend. There was a lot more to Greg than that. So would either one of you all want to just kind of share with the world, something that the media didn't show regarding who Lil Greg was?
Okay, I looked at him as of course, my brother, but he was like a confidant. Like that's somebody I always went to tell. Once I got older, we got closer. So I would tell him certain stuff I wouldn't even tell my own sister. She'll be mad, but that's just how he was. I tell Nunu stuff that I don't tell my sister, but it's just that's how I looked at him. And he was also a protector. All my friends knew Lil Greg. I always talked about Lil Greg. I always posted Lil Greg. I don't know. We just got so close these past few, the years before he left us. And I'm like super grateful for that. And it's just like one story I want to share. You know how close we was when my sister surprised me for my birthday. And it was him walking through the door, like cake and ice cream. She was like, I got a surprise for you. This your gift. And I'm like, okay, what's my surprise? I'm thinking it's an actual gift. And then Lil Greg and Big Greg came walking through the door. Like, that's, like we was super close. So I look at him as like kind of like a best friend and a brother, because he was like, I could trust him. And it's like, he was my person. If you know, you know.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
That's a great story. And you know what? He the one got me to come over there. Because, I'm a homebody. I'm in the house. He's like, I'm about to go. It's Chinara's birthday, Daddy. I'm going to go to Chinara's house. He's like, you want to ride? I was like, all right, cool. So, that's what got me in the car. I was like, oh, okay, y'all having something over Gaga house. Yeah, so we went over Gaga house. I had a good time that night. But, yeah, Candy, you want to share something?
One thing about Lil Greg, he had like Nunu said, he was to himself. And I've been knowing this little boy since he was a baby.
Yeah. We were friends.
Yeah, Chanel's babysitter was Lil Greg's babysitter.
Sure was. What's her name? What's her center shout out?
Andrews.
Miss Andrews. 105th and Green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just like growing up over the years, we both went to college. We both, we had our lives for a while, so we didn't see each other as much. So when Lil Greg came back around, I would see him at birthday parties and stuff like that. But I remember when we were together.
That was Nani, y'all. I just want y'all to know that's Nani over there.
So
we keep it honey here, y'all. That's what we do. Never know what you're going to get on Daddy's radio. Go ahead, Daddy.
So as he got older, when we were together, and we were separated. And remember, Greg stayed with me for a little while, and a short time. And he would be in the kitchen with me, talking to me like, I'm like, where this little boy come from? I would take him to school, and he would say like 2 words. Like I don't know if he was
short word.
Angry because he had to be out there or whatever. But then after a while, he got kind of used to being there, and I think he liked being there with you. He liked being there with his dad. He did. He probably didn't say it or show it because, at that age, you're stubborn and all that. But the talks we had, he really enjoyed being there with you out there. And
you never shared that with me.
I'm sharing it now.
Yeah.
No. But one time we were in the kitchen, like, talking on the phone, and his mom called. And she said, what are you doing? He was like, I'm in the kitchen with Candice. She cooking dinner. She said, you'll never be in the kitchen with me. He always said a little joke and stuff. I'm like, boy, don't say that. So we had our talks, He would always come to the shop. You good? You need anything? You want me to go get you something to eat? And, my little fat butt always hungry. Yeah, run down the street and get me something to eat. And then he'd be like, well, you got some money? Like, I thought you was treating me. Just joking. But he would go and get me something to eat. He would come in and check on me.
Yeah.
Everybody at the shop knew Lil Greg. They'd be like, oh, here come your son. Who's that tall guy out there at the door? Oh, that's Lil Greg. Come on in. He'll sit there and talk to me. And you need anything before I leave? I'm like, no, I'm good. So we had our own little relationship in this way. Like, he talked about Nunu, how much he loved her, how much she got on his nerves. But he loved her.
Shout out
to
Nunu.
He loved her. And I'm going to miss those talks. Him just checking on me. Every birthday. Like she said, every birthday, Greg, I don't care. From 45 to 50 or 40 to 50, this boy was at every birthday party. He couldn't even get in the club. He wasn't even old enough. If it was, we would had our coats on one time leaving. He was gonna be there. I said, my son gonna be here. I don't care. And he would come walking through the door. Hey, give me a hug. And I'm like, I told you he was gonna be here. The party's over, but he made it.
Yeah.
So
everybody show up, but he might be late, but he gonna show up. Yeah. Yeah.
Pulling up, I'm pulling off. But he wait, let me give you a hug. He came. He showed up and supported every time.
Man, Candy, thanks for sharing that story. Thank you for helping heal me. You know.
Huh? You said what?
Donetto, Nunu over there whispering.
That's what I was saying. I was like, yeah, they used to come to the shop.
Yeah, you know my bus Nunu out.
Right. Nunu be there. And can you do this? Oh, you don't have an appointment. Y'all just came to say hi. Yep. Good times, good times. I remember when I first met Nunu, she came to the house. I thought she was so mean.
Right.
Did you?
Remember? You used to be like, that ain't she mean? I'm like, you want something to eat? You want something to She'd be like,
yeah, Nunu hard like that. You know, you got to get into Nunu, you know. If you're not into Nunu, you will be like intimidated by Nunu.
But I was always on her side because he probably made her mad. So. Yeah.
Sweet as pie, though.
And she's sweet as pie.
Ain't she? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Well, we going to wrap this up. Anything else? Okay. Daddy's podcast. I'm glad y'all came to stop by to help me heal. I appreciate it, and I hope that you all are healing as well. Chinara, Candy.
Glad to be here.
Love y'all. Definitely. If y'all ever want to stop back again, y'all come holler at me, and we can put something out there. Yeah. Daddy's Radio. You always say, Daddy. Peace.